Welcome back to Ripe Avocados, episode 30. Today we're doing A Real Pain by Jesse Eisenberg, starring him. He directed it, wrote it, and then Kieran Culkin from, a lot of people probably know him from Succession, but Macaulay Culkin's brother. And this is a pretty good movie, so Sean, let's get into it. Tell me what this thing was about.
Daydream, I fell asleep amid the flowers for a couple of hours on a beautiful day. Daydream.
So, Real Pain, it follows two Jewish American cousins played by Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. Their names are David and Benji in the movie. And basically their grandmother had passed away, and she was a Polish immigrant who was a Holocaust survivor. And after she passed away, they kind of want to reconnect with their culture and heritage and also honor their grandmother by going on a tour in Poland and then also seeing the apartment in which she lived at. And while the whole movie is kind of like a buddy comedy drama, there was a lot of intense and emotional moments throughout this movie. While they're kind of going through and exploring different places in Poland and learning about the Holocaust, and then also they go to where their grandmother lived. Throughout all that, there's kind of this turmoil between the two cousins where David, who's played by Jesse Eisenberg, he seemingly has like a normal and great life in New York City. He has a wife, a kid, has a good job. Clearly he's living in New York City, so he's got to have a decent job. But he kind of represents this extremely anxious person. And he covers it well by trying to be this chill, run-of-the-mill guy. But throughout the movie, you see it sort of seeping out, these little outbursts and all the things he's holding in and just letting build up kind of bursts out at the dinner table with the tour group or on the rooftop with his cousin Benji. And then on the flip side, Benji, played by Kieran Culkin, is seemingly this free-spirited, go-with-the-flow kind of guy, isn't afraid to speak his mind. And to others, he seems very charming and funny, but there's more layers to him than he's letting off. He's clearly a very troubled soul, and I think he personifies the characteristics of a person that's like, sometimes the loudest person in the room or the funniest person in the room is kind of going through
The most shit.
Yeah, exactly. He's got his own demons, and this movie is about finding and respecting their Polish and Jewish heritage and culture, while also kind of mending the trauma they have within themselves, but also with each other.
Yeah, that's encapsulated pretty well. And then the ending of this movie was pretty good, I thought. It's very ambiguous. What did you think about how they left it off?
So for one, I kind of thought that Kieran Culkin's character, Benji, I thought he might just be homeless. It kind of seemed that way, like he's just chilling at the airport doing nothing. He claims, I thought the split between the very beginning of the movie and the end of the movie was fucking perfect. Like Benji, he personifies himself as this person that is like super outgoing, very charming, talks to anyone and everyone. And that's the vibe you get at the very start of the movie where he's like, hey, you meet a bunch of crazy people at the airport. But then at the end, when he's telling David like, hey, I appreciate your invite to your house for dinner and stuff, or I appreciate your ride offer, but I'm just going to chill at the airport, meet a bunch of new crazy people, because that's what you think Benji would do, because throughout the whole movie, he's talking to everyone. He's super charming. But then at the end of the movie, you see him sitting by himself in this sea of people, not talking to anyone, just taking things in. I thought it was a great touch. I thought this movie personified like two extremes of anxiety. One person dealing with their anxiety internally, David, while Benji was dealing with it externally, right? He
Yeah.
tried to be more extroverted and outgoing and charming, and people love that about him, but really deep down inside he's harboring all those demons.
Yeah, I thought it did a good job, in my opinion, of showing two pretty average people who obviously everyone has their own problems. So whatever that meant to Kieran Culkin didn't really matter to him. The fact that he could just so nonchalantly meet all these people, to his cousin's amazement, because he would kill obviously to have the family and the kid and all that stuff. He clearly has a bit of envy towards David. Not that envy is probably the wrong word. It's he just sort of wants the same thing as him.
I feel like envy actually is a good word, because they both envy each other in different ways. Like, David outright says to the tour group, and then also to Benji himself, he's like, you don't understand what it feels like to be a person to walk into a room and no one notices. When Benji's walking into a room and everyone kind of flocks to him, he's just got that energy around him, that aura. Aura,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because there's more to it. Just highlights how there's more to life than just, obviously, than just your job and your social status and whatnot. David has that stuff, but he clearly feels kind of alone when he's in these social settings. It's they highlight it very well without using a lot of open. Where am I going with this? They don't just directly say David isn't a social person. They show up on this really awkward tour of sort of Poland and areas of the Holocaust, and it's 6 or 5 Jews. And Benji seemingly starts joking around with everybody right away, and David's walking like by himself. There's that funny scene where Benji buys 5 waters and just doesn't get him one. And David just thinks he hates him and whatnot, but I think he's just trying to impress everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of to show off to David, I think, too, because when he gets to the airport at the very end, he's not even he doesn't give a shit about even talking to other people. I think he's just like people watching and imagining himself in somebody else's lives. A lot of stuff I saw online though too, I sort of thought this was gonna be a dark turn, and I insinuated he's probably gonna kill himself at the end of the movie, because it starts the very same that it ends. So all this vacation, all of this time away, just to Kieran Culkin's character doesn't mean anything, and he doesn't really find anything. I that's how I took it away, because they go to put the stones on their grandma's house at the end. That whole moment gets ruined.
In a hilarious moment. I thought this movie actually had me cracking up and chuckling.
Yeah, it was funny. It was a funny movie. I don't know. They make it ambiguous on purpose, but there is sort of a twinkle in his eye too as he's looking around the airport, as though maybe he's changed, because Jesse Eisenberg does slap him in the face at the airport. He tells him how that was one of the best moments of his life. And we should talk about this too. Kieran Culkin is clearly very, very attached to his grandmother. When she dies, he takes an attempt at his life, and then it's not said until the climax of the movie, but you can kind of tell that there's something like that going on because of the way Jesse Eisenberg is treating him. It's almost like Jesse Eisenberg is kind of like treating him like his son, even though they're the same age. I can't remember. They probably did say, they definitely said who was older. Was it Kieran Culkin's character that's a little bit older?
I think so, but I can't entirely
That would
remember.
make sense. Ironically, that would make sense. I'm sure that's what it is. But yeah, and then Jesse Eisenberg's like looking out for him. But anybody that's... the thing that I thought was so interesting about this movie is these characters aren't completely out of the norm. I've met people like both of these people.
The reason this movie resonated with me so much is because I saw myself as David 1000%. Like, anyone dealing with any form of anxiety should watch this movie because Jesse Eisenberg encapsulates that persona so well. It's unreal. Like his reactions to certain things is exactly how I would react when Benji is going off on the tour guide James. James is spitting out facts at this graveyard, and Benji's like, hey, can we just chill with the fucking facts for a second? Like, can we just take this in? And David's in the back like, bro, like, what are you doing, man? Like, don't fucking say that. Like, stop speaking out. Or even something as simple as like taking a picture at the monument,
like
where
the Holocaust monument, yeah.
Exactly, where he kind of recruits everyone else on the tour guide to like strike a pose with him, whatever they're doing, whether they bring a medic or holding a fake gun. And David, Jesse Eisenberg's character, is stuck holding all the phones, taking a picture for everyone. Like, that is something like I would do in that situation, where I would feel weird at first, like just going up there and striking like a weird pose. But then everyone else is just like, you know what, fuck it, like, let's just do it.
But that's why I think the character is so well written. He just doesn't take himself seriously, and he says these outlandish things that you would be appalled to hear if you met a stranger and they're telling you, like, shut the fuck up, like, why are you walking by yourself? Or he said something along the lines like that to Marsha, one of the other group members. But everyone just likes how authentic he is. Yeah. And I know I'm putting you on the spot. I know you haven't seen Succession, but Kieran Culkin, this character is not anywhere near the same kind of character he plays in Succession, which is why I was impressed. But it is kind of similar in the aspect that Roman Roy, he will just speak his mind as well. However, Roman Roy is loaded and super cocky and like it's a little bit different, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas I thought Benji had like a mental problem I think he probably does.
He probably
I don't know
does.
what it would be identified as. But well, I honestly just think it's a depressive thing, obviously. He's just super depressed and like looking for the meaning of life. Going off the note though of the tour guide, I thought that was the funniest part of the movie because the second time around, that guy, he was actually in The White Lotus. Will Sharp is his name. He's in the second season of The White Lotus. He plays
okay, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, he's in that. He's in that. That's what I know him from. He has the thing he has to get off his chest once Benji and David leave. He's like, I've been thinking about, ever since you told me that I was telling too many facts, I've been super conscious about that. He's like, I just had to tell you that. Dude, Benji's like, oh yeah, super dope, man.
Dude,
like,
no,
cool.
that was literally the funniest part of the movie because James tells Benji that, and at first Benji's like, I don't even know what I said to you. I was just probably talking in the moment, but yeah, that sounds great. You do you. And then after James spews out all this love for Benji, he turns to David and just goes, bye, David. And just walks away. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, that's exactly how that would go in real life. Yeah, like, Benji is someone that is memorable when they step into a group versus David, who's people will acknowledge while they're in the group, but they probably won't even think of him later on in life.
Right.
But also with the tour group, I think there was a cool dynamic where it was like the younger folks, and it's not like they were in their 20s or anything. They're probably in their like 30s, 40s to 50s. Well, 30s to 40s. That group of people in the tour guide started to really resonate with Benji and the things he was saying. While that
you mean the black guy and Marsha?
Yeah. And James as well. While the older couple, I can't remember their names off the top of their head, but it was an old man and his wife. They kind of more resonated with David a little bit, and not really resonated, but just like tried to understand his side, and they were like, what the fuck is Benji going on about? Like, this man is just saying the most vile shit sometimes. Like, there's something clearly wrong with him. And I feel like that kind of spoke to the different generations. Because that's exactly how my dad would perceive someone as Benji. Like, if my dad was on that group and Benji was saying this shit, my dad would be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Mm-hmm. It just highlights how I think this movie just does an excellent job. I've probably said this once already, but created these two really authentic characters, but also
Yeah.
guys that these people do exist in real life, like variations of them. And not everybody. It's
Dude,
sad.
right here,
It's a
man.
sad concept because not everybody realizes maybe a hidden talent they have, like lighting up a room, like Benji does. And there's probably so many cases of people like this who do end up killing themselves or like ruining their lives or their family's lives because they just don't realize how much people care about them and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I don't
But
think
then-
he even gets that. You
No,
know?
I don't think he does either. But maybe at the end he does. I think that's what the ambiguity at the end is. Like, does he understand that there are people still out there that love him, or is he gonna fucking kill himself? Like,
Dude,
I think
I
that's what it
thought
was.
I thought, honestly, maybe we have to cut this, but I thought it would have been fucking nuts if they like went their own ways and it was like a cut scene and he was like hanging from from like a ceiling or something. Like, because
That
they
would've
made
been
it
way
seem
too
so
crazy.
hunky
That
dory.
would have been.
No, that would have been obviously nuts, right? But I was kind of waiting for something like that to happen at the very end.
I
'cause
will
it just-
say, I kind of thought the same. I definitely thought he was going to kill himself, but I'm glad they left it at that.
Right. You can infer whichever way you want to, but he's clearly there's something wrong, like with him, and he's just manic, kind of all the time. I thought he was gonna do something to himself when he left the hotel that last night, and Jesse Eisenberg's like waking up, panicking, calling everybody,
Yeah.
and then he's like
But-
just waiting for him downstairs. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
but that's just their characters in a nutshell, right? Jesse Eisenberg, he holds everything in, super anxious all the time. I mean, you see it with the fucking Benji tells him that there's gonna be weed waiting for
Yeah.
him in Poland, but he thinks the weed's in his backpack, and he keeps like looking back at the TSA line, like, "Holy shit, are we gonna get busted?"
Yeah, telling the
Also-
conductor that they have their train tickets when they don't.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, all the little subtleties in this movie to, again, personify each character's relationship with how they deal with anxiety is so fucking good. Like, Benji, even in the beginning when they're taking a taxi to the hotel to meet up with the tour guide or with their tour group, you notice Benji is literally taking everything in. He's literally sitting there with no AirPods in, nothing, while David is sitting there on his phone with his AirPods in. And it's like, bro, that's me. Anytime I hop into an Uber by myself, immediately the headphones go on, noise canceling. I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm on my phone. That's just what I do. While other people are, talking to the Uber driver, talking to the cab driver, talking to a
Yeah.
bunch of other people. Like, it's just the two polar extremes of them were perfect because when they did cross paths and the anxiety boils over or whatever the case may be, their relationship was incredible.
Yeah, no, well said. Yeah, I don't know really where to go from there. I'm trying to think of other things to talk about. Well, the cinematography I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was all Chopin for the most part. I only knew that because I had my subtitles on.
Yeah, same.
But they played like 10 different Chopin symphonies or acts of his symphonies. I probably misworded that. But it's super. It just feels super Renaissance. They're the whole time they're walking through these very old cities from, the Holocaust, World War II. So everything looks outdated and it's interesting. There's a lot of neat visuals as they're just going on these walking tour guides for the majority of the whole movie, and it sets this. I just think it does its job of like setting the tone of what it is. This isn't an action movie. This isn't a. It's kind of a comedy. It's more. I'd call it more of like a comedy drama.
Yeah.
But it's
a dark
not-
comedy.
Right. It's very light. It's honestly a very light watch, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, there's some tense moments, but even the most tense moments of the whole movie are not that crazy to me to where I would have to like brace myself to rewatch it. There's something like triggering.
Yeah, it's just real people dealing with real life trauma. and they portray it so well in this movie. A real pain. Literally,
Well, I think
the title in itself.
I think Kieran Culkin is supposed to be the real pain.
Yeah,
Right,
for sure, for sure.
He's just a real pain to deal with, and yeah, like one more time, like the way it's just told, the way how we're just introduced to the characters, and it probably took me like 15 minutes or so to figure out that Kieran Culkin's character is just nuts and like going off the walls in every little scene that he's in. But like little by little, you just start to pick up on their mannerisms and whatnot. And there are a lot of funny things. I just thought of like the warm yogurt he got him at the airport with no spoon. So I'll have to rewatch it and try and get more out of it. I mean, it's on Hulu, so I'll definitely rewatch it at some point.
And it's an easy watch, bro. Hour 30 minutes, like breeze right through it. I will say back to the cinematography. So when they go to the concentration camp, Majdanek. So I lived in Poland for 4 years. It was
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I'm half Polish. My dad's Polish. But I lived in Warsaw for 4 years, and
No shit.
yeah.
Why did I not know this?
I don't know, bro. You don't know me, man.
How
My name's
when you
Sean,
were
by the
when you
way.
were 0, like when you were just
Oh,
born?
that was zero. No, I was
Yeah.
dude. I was born in South Korea, and then
Okay, that's what I thought.
yeah,
Okay.
and then moved around a little bit to Armenia and Germany. But like I was very young then, and then I lived in Poland from kindergarten to 3rd grade. So I don't remember a whole ton, but I will say so. My dad is like the biggest history buff you'll ever meet, and of course he's Polish. So when we lived in Poland, we would go to a bunch of different places, different concentration camps to learn more about history. And basically he was just teaching us history, even though we were like 5 years old or whatever it is. But we've been to Auschwitz, but we also have been to Majdanek. And as a child, I literally can remember being there. So seeing this in the movie was insane. I literally remember like walking through like the bathhouse,
The gas chamber.
everything. And
Wow.
on top of it, so at Majdanek, they didn't really talk about it in the movie, which was kind of a nice touch, really. And I think it spoke to the conversation that James and Benji had, where Benji was like, let's chill on all the facts. Let's just kind of take this in. So at Majdanek, they have a mausoleum, which is that big dome that they showed. I don't know if you remembered it, because it was kind of like 2 shots of it, and then they went to the next thing, but it was a mound of ash there.
Yeah, was
And
that all human ash?
That was all Holocaust victims' ash.
That's what
And
I thought.
I remember as a child going there, walking around that giant dome and seeing that giant mound of ash, and that's literally ingrained in my brain. So
How big is it? Like, how big are we talking?
oh, well, also as a child, like me seeing it, it was fucking ginormous. But it also is like a pretty big dome that they have there. But you can literally just look up like Majdanek Mausoleum and it'll show you pictures of it. But just seeing that was insane. And I also love the fact that when they're driving there, right, you hear the orchestra in the background, the music playing. And the second they get there, dead silence, right? It's
Yeah.
only a little bit of talking from James where he's explaining different things. But then other than that, all the shots are complete silence. And I thought that was a incredible touch.
And it wouldn't have happened had Benji not said anything to him either. So it just goes back to the writing. And all the characters' actions just make total sense too.
Yeah.
Throughout, there's really nothing out of the ordinary. In my opinion, I just thought everything really flowed well. There was a couple like plot holes I did mention though. Like they would not have been able to go. Jesse Eisenberg brought a rock through TSA. That would never.
I did notice that. Yeah.
And
Dude,
there
I
was
couldn't
one
even get
other-
a candle through JFK. They
Yeah,
spent
you
like
can't bring-
dude, they spent
wa-
20 minutes on my bag. I'm like, bro, I have another flight to catch, and the dude's just like. And Taron Egerton is sprinting around in the background.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Darren Anderson's like, dude, we got a fucking sniper in the parking lot. He's handcuffed.
Yeah.
Nothing. No, yeah. That was one plot hole. There was like probably one other that I'm not. Oh, when they were waiting for them after the train, that was crazy. When they took the wrong train stop. There's no way in hell that tour group would have waited like on the steps. They just would have went to do the tour.
No,
like, we have cell phones.
They probably were like weirded out though, because they're like, where are they and why are their bags still here? But also the whole thing where they're taking pictures at the monument and Jesse Eisenberg has like 7 different camera phones and he's taking it. It's like, bro, make a group chat, take a picture on one phone and you're fine.
Yeah, it was just very, very exaggerated.
We're really like nitpicking little things.
We are. We are. But yeah, so you want to do the scores, or you have anything else you want to add?
Let's jump into the scores.
Okay, so I'm pulling them up right now. I had, for entertainment, I went 7-4.
Entertainment, I went 8-1.
8-1, okay. Characters, I went 9-0.
Characters, I'm at a 9-0.
Nice. Great minds think alike. And then cinematography, I went 7-8.
Cinematography, I went 8-0.
And then writing, I went 8-4.
Writing, I went 8-5. Okay. So same ballpark, honestly.
Yeah. This was. I feel like you and I are pretty much on the same page throughout this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I fucking love this movie. I would recommend it to anyone and everyone. Like this was an amazing movie.
Does this make you want to watch Succession at all, or?
A little bit, bro. I'm watching Prison Break right now, and I'm kind of locked into that. So it's hard for me to jump from like one show to another. I still need to watch Severance.
Severance is really good. I haven't even seen. I've seen most of Succession just because she rewatches this show so often. It's pretty crazy. I've probably seen 70% of it. But Kieran Culkin is like one of the main characters, and he's doing shit like that, but he just has a lot more money to work with. So it's
he's the rich, or what does he say at the dinner scene? He's like, dude, rich people are so fucking dumb, or something like that. When they talking about like refurbishing old furniture and then selling it back to the people that got rid of it.
Yeah, he does. He has very similar. Obviously, the mannerisms are the same. It's the same actor. But if you like Kieran Culkin in this movie, I thought he was the star of it. In my opinion, I think he's gonna probably get nommed for Best Actor. Maybe Jesse Eisenberg will as well.
Well, he won Best Supporting at the Golden Globes.
Okay, I meant for the Oscars. I feel.
He's definitely gonna get nominated for sure.
Yeah.
I don't even know, like, can you even get... I want to go back into history and see, like, who's won a Golden Globe and then hasn't been nominated at the Oscars. Oh, yeah. That would be pretty crazy.
It's probably very rare. We should look into that. But no, yeah, he's a great actor. I don't think I've seen him in anything else besides that, Succession, and then Home Alone 1, but he's very little in that movie, so...
Yeah.
Shout out Kieran Culkin.
Yeah. Also, shout out Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg is one of those actors that I feel like kind of plays the same role throughout every movie. But he does it so well, and he did an incredible job in this movie. So
yeah, he has range. He just talks about a lot of different things too. It's not just like everyone probably knows him from The Social Network or like Zombieland, but I mean, those
Lex
two movies
Luthor,
alone,
you know.
Yeah, those are 3 just drastically different movies. And he just does he's very consistent, and nothing really bad to say about that guy. But nonetheless, that's gonna give us a final score of an 8.3, so pretty high score here on Ripe Avocados for A Real Pain. All of our movie reviews can be found on our website, which will be linked in our bio on our website, on all of our social medias, including TikTok, which did not get banned. So you can go check us out there, as well as the other social media platforms.
We were laid off of work for approximately 7.5 hours, and then
and then we're back.
Yeah.
So until next time, unless you have anything else, Sean.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Tally.
Go watch A Real Pain, and check us. Or excuse me, come back next week and see what we review next Tuesday. Peace out.
Deuces.
I dream of the places I've been with you. How we stand with the street.